Danger of injury and other unforeseeable consequences in the event of improper use. Before using the machine for the first time, read the operating manual and keep it for later use and to pass on to any subsequent users. The display and what each symbol or light indicates. The display elements each have a unique function and light up to easily let you know what the shredder is doing and/or needs. The bottom display light lets you know the machine is powered up and running. The first light to the left of the power indicator lets you know where there is a jam on the conveyor belt. Directly above the conveyor jam indicator is a light that will let you know if there is a paper jam. Above the paper jam indicator, there is a light letting you know the door is open or an emergency stop was pressed. The top light is a display with no function. To the right of the top light is the oil reserve indicator. The last two indicators positioned on the bottom right corner both are displays with no function. Test run. Check that the loading table is installed and bolted on securely. Put the document shredder into operation on a trial basis to test the safety devices. Unlock the emergency stop push button by pulling it out. Turn the main switch to the I position. The green Ready for Operation LED lights up. If an error message lights up, such as Door Open, first rectify the error. Press the Start button. The audible startup warning signal sounds for 5 seconds. The visible startup warning signal lights for 10 seconds. The conveyor, cutting block, and feed belt start up. Checking the emergency stop button. Press the emergency stop button while the machine is running. The shredder must switch off immediately. The cutting block and the feed belt must stop. The indicator Emergency Stop was pressed must light up. The machine will only start again once you have pulled out the emergency stop button again. Inspecting the door switch. Open the front door more than 4 inches. The indicator Door Open must light up. The conveyor, cutting block, and feed belt must stop. After you close the door, the LED should go out, and you can start the machine again by pressing the Start button. Check the following before calling customer service. Is the power plug connected? Is the shredder switched on? Is the front door closed? Is there a paper jam in the shredder? Has the motor been overloaded? Paper jam. Overload display lights up. The cutting block automatically runs in reverse for a second. Take out the pile of paper. Press the Start button and put less paper on the feed belt. Electric motor overheated. Overload display flashes. The shredder switches off automatically. Let the motor cool down for 20 to 30 minutes. Press the Start button. Door Open or Emergency Stop was pressed. The indicator lights up. The shredder switches off automatically. Close the front door. Unlock the Emergency Stop push button by pulling it out. Press the Start button. Oil reservoir empty. Oil reservoir empty display lights up. Fill the reservoir with cutting apparatus oil. The oil reservoir empty signal is automatically deactivated after the reservoir is filled. The shredder remains operational even when the oil reservoir is empty. Jam and inlet funnel of discharge conveyor belt. The indicator Jam conveyor lights up. The cutting block and feed belt stop. The shredder switches to standby mode. Switch off the shredder. Open the front door of the document shredder and the flap on the inlet funnel. Remove the material from the funnel. Close the flap and front door. Restart the machine. If other malfunctions occur, please switch the machine off for 10 seconds and start it again before calling customer service. Cleaning. Switch off the shredder and disconnect the power plug. Use only a soft cloth and mild soapy water for cleaning. Never use a scouring agent, cleaning fluid, petroleum, or thinners. Make sure that no water gets into the shredder. Do not immerse the power cable or the power plug in water. Never touch the power plug with wet hands. Emptying the tray of the discharge conveyor belt. Empty the tray under the conveyor belt weekly. When doing this, switch off the document shredder. Open the front door and pull out the tray. Slide the tray completely back in after emptying. Close the front door and put the document shredder into operation. Maintenance. The left and right metal covers are equipped with safety switches. The machine can only be switched on when the plates are installed. Checking the chain tension twice yearly. Switch off the shredder. Pull out the power plug. Remove the left cover panel and screws. The sag of the chain should be 3/16 to 3/8 inches. If you need to tighten the chain, remove the right cover panel. Loosen the nuts and push the motor and the tensioning screws until the chain sags by 3/16 to 3/8 inches. Make sure to adjust the motor squarely. Do not tighten the chain too much, as this will cause premature wear on the chain and bearings. Tighten the nuts again. Put the cover panels and the tray back on. Greasing the drive chains and cogs twice yearly. Switch off the shredder. Pull out the power plug. Remove the cover panels. Grease the cogs and the drive chains from the motor to the cutting apparatus, the cutting block to the feed belt, and the cutting block to the regulating roller. Recommended lubricating grease, K2K, in accordance with DIN 51502/DIN 51825. Put the side cover panels back on. Tightening the feed belt. The feed belt should not slip when loaded with material. Switch off the shredder. Remove the tray. Loosen the hex nuts on the left and right sides of the snub roller. Loosen the lock nuts of the tensioning bolts. Tighten the feed belt evenly using the tensioning bolts. Only tighten the feed belt until it stops slipping. The feed belt bearing may be damaged if it is tightened too much. Tighten the hex nuts on the snub roller and the lock nuts on the tensioning bolts again. You must check that the feed belt runs straight. Switch on the shredder and let it run for 10 minutes. During this time, the feed belt must run in the middle of the snub roller. If it slips to the left or right edge, you must alter the setting of the snub roller. Put the tray back on. If you determine that the discharge conveyor belt slips under load, you must retighten it in a manner similar to clamping the feed belt. To do this, remove the plug connector in the interior of the document shredder, as well as the screws on the crossbar, and behind the caps on the back of the shredder. Run the conveyor belt out of the document shredder. Now the adjusting screws on the conveyor bearing are accessible. Proceed with previous adjustments described to tighten the belt. To avoid premature wear, also refrain from clamping this conveyor belt too taut. Checking the feed belt for wear. The surface of the feed belt can become worn after long periods of use. If you can see the fabric inlay in the belt, it must be replaced. Please notify our customer service department.